Hey everybody, Jay Weidner here, Reality Check. Thanks for watching and hit like and subscribe. I know I haven't been putting out much content lately, but I will be here in the future. I'm going to be exploring a lot of things. I'm moving away from here. We built another house on our property, a small house that we're going to use for our film studio and office. And when people come to stay here, they can stay there and be away from us and have their own privacy. So, anyway, today I am going to talk about the book that I read, ended about 7 months ago, reading my book, A Monument to the End of Time, co-written with the great Vincent Bridges. And today I'm going to talk about conclusions of the book because I never got to that part. And I think it's really important that we get to that. So I'm going to need my glasses because I'm an old guy. Basically, what the book talks about is the monument is about a monument in the south of France called the Cross of Hendaye. Hendaye, France is the town that it's in. It's on the border of Spain. It's a Basque city in a Basque region. The Basque are very strange people in Europe. We don't know who they are. They came from somewhere else after supposedly a catastrophe. And their language is actually closest to Quechua in Peru. And so the Cross of Hendaye is brought to us by the alchemist Fulcanelli in his 1957 book, Mystery of the Cathedrals, which is a reprint of his 1926 book, Mystery of the Cathedrals, with the Hendaye chapter added. So it was not there in 26, but it is here in 57, which is when I didn't become acquainted with it in 57 because I was barely alive at the time. But later in life, in the late 70s and early 80s, I became acquainted with the book, became mystified by the Cross of Hendaye, and decided to look into it. So what does the Cross of Hendaye tell us? Well, as you can see, the Cross of Hendaye is this cross here. It's a pedestal with four sides. There's a Greek pillar, a cross at the top, which has a Latin inscription in it. And the Cross of Hendaye basically describes how the Yugas or the cycles of time are dictated by the position of our solar system in the in context with the center of the galaxy. So our solar system oscillates up and down as it makes its 240 million circle around the entire galaxy. And every 26,000 years, it goes through one of these oscillations. And for a brief period of time in this oscillation, the solar system has to pass behind the galactic plane. The galactic plane is a plane that goes right at the equator of the galaxy, which is filled with most of the star stuff, sludge, all sorts of stuff that is coming from the galaxy, and it all, hits there because that's where the gravitational plane is. And as our solar system, which is right at the edge of this galactic plane, as it goes up and down through the galactic plane, the etheric energy coming from the center of the galaxy is blocked. So most of the time we're clear. We got a great view of the center of the galaxy, which is here. But every once in a while, we come into the part where it's blocked and all the etheric energy stops. And for a brief period of time, a couple thousand years or so, we are blocked out of the greatest source of etheric plasma energy in our local cosmic neighborhood, the center of the galaxy. And what that does is that causes everything to dim out. The sun turns yellow, might even turn even deeper, darker colors like an orange or a red. And the etheric energy stops hitting us, so we become kind of spiritually stupefied, you might say. And that is what we call the Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga is the Iron Age. It's the densest part of the four ages. And as we come out of this plane, remember we're oscillating. So we go down into the plane. That's when we're in the Kali Yuga. Then we come out of it. Then we come back up and we're in it. Then we come out of it and we're up. So most of the time we're out of it. But that brief period of time we're in it. And my contention is that that brief period of time, that 2,000 years or whatever, I'm not going to argue how long that period is, that's the period when the human being is so spiritually deprived that we allow the Elohim to enter into the sphere of our realm. The Elohim, we don't really know who they are. All we know is that all of our fables and books going back to the beginning of the Kali Yuga are about the interference of these possibly off-planet entities messing with us. It doesn't matter where you are. It can be India, it can be China, it can be South America, it could be Central America, North America, Asia, Africa, Europe. Everywhere we go, we find myths of these beings messing with us. And they're quite kind of dangerous. And they've kind of given us this idea, or the misinterpretation of the text has kind of given us this idea that they're some kind of gods and that they're greater than us. And I'm going to show you why that probably is not so. So 12,000 years ago, there was a double catastrophe. And that is what threw us into the current age that we're in. And this was a double catastrophe. Of course, we talk about it in the A Monument to the End of Time and the follow-up book, Mysteries of the Great Cross of Hendaye, Alchemy at the End of Time, with Vincent Bridges. And what we talk about is how the galactic plane the galactic center explodes, and the wave rides right along the galactic plane, and we are right there in the galactic plane. And when we enter in to that plane, we get hit by this wave, and that wave hits the sun and causes it to nova and causes the double catastrophe. First the wave, then the sun novaing. Now we've been out of that for about 12,000 years. And I don't know if we're going back into that or not, but it appears that we are leaving the Kali Yuga and we're moving out into a new time period, which is what is causing most of the problems that we're having here on Earth. The people that lived in the age before the age we're entering are dead set in making sure that we do not advance into the next age. Because when we advance into the next age, we're going to look back at their rule over us, the Elohim's rule over us, and their people that were chosen by the Elohim to rule over us. We're going to look back at that as probably one of the most nightmarish episodes in human history. And right now we're in the hangover of that episode. And so we're still reeling from the all of the bad vibes and terrible things that happened, the wars, the genocides, and everything that happened then, which the people that are in charge, the elites, right? Because they're part of the L, they are still fomenting all of this. That's what all this racism is. We aren't racist as people. No, none of us are. We may be, wary of other people, but in the end, we accept what other people are quite openly. It's the Elohim that are constantly making us hate each other and fight with each other and all of that, because if we stop fighting with each other and start talking with each other, we're going to realize that there's an extraneous force at work here and that they're behind all of the major religions. They're probably behind Mormonism. Moroni was probably one of them. Everywhere we look, we find that the interference of a group of beings in our spiritual being. And they seem intent on masquerading as spiritual beings, but really are just power hungry, mad beings. All they really seem to be interested in is fighting, screwing, and drinking. That's it. They sound like my Irish relatives. I'm sorry. But to me, they're no different. And to raise the Elohim up to angelic status is really what I think is the Catholic Church confusing our higher self, which we all have, with some kind of angelic being. When you are in communication with your higher self, you're not in communication with an angel. You're in communication with the part of you that can see further away. I look at the higher self not as an angel helping me, but as me helping myself. So imagine you're in the middle of a downtown area and you're in a bad traffic. Imagine you're in the middle of a downtown area and everything's going smoothly. But you have a friend who's a window washer up on the 60th story of the high rise. And he can see that down the road from me, 10 blocks is a gigantic traffic jam. So he calls me on his cell phone and says, "Hey, man, you're going to hit a gigantic traffic jam. Take a right at 2nd Street and go for a half a mile and take a left at 3rd Street and you'll be all right. You'll avoid the traffic jam." Well, that's kind of what the higher self does. It kind of tells you when something bad is about to happen. You got to get aware of it. It's a psychic part of you. It's the part that when you're out in the woods and you feel like you're being watched, and you probably are, it's that self that's telling you that. It's a self that warns you when danger is afoot. And it's not an angel. Angels are Elohim. Elohim are not trying to help you. Although I do believe they have the power to create psychic beings in you to terrorize you. I do believe they do have that kind of shamanic power. Okay, so as we can see, the cross has this pillar. All right. It's very important to understand what this pillar really means. Yes, it's the connection from the center of the galaxy to our solar system, our local galactic, our neighborhood within the local galaxy. That's part of what this pillar is. But this pillar is also about our relationship with the larger plasma etheric body that surrounds the Earth and the solar system and the galaxy and probably the entire universe. And when the Elohim made us, they made us in their image. And in that, they made a huge mistake. And I believe that it was probably Enki who did that. And what they did was they gave us an upright posture. They made our spine vertical. And anyone who studied alchemy knows that anything that is vertical is in a higher level connection with the larger plasma body that surrounds the Earth, the solar system, the galaxy, and the universe. Because it's perpendicular. And so the waves are coming down, and they're coming down. If you're a vertical being, like a tree or a human, the vertical rays are coming straight down into you. There's no obstruction. Like with a dog on all fours, it comes down and then it has to go this way. So there's obstructions and resistance in the line. But humans are the only being, I mean, hominids, but humans are the being with the high IQ that has this connection with the larger etheric field. And that was a huge mistake by the Nephilim. They created us in their image and they gave us that. And that is the divine connection that we have, which they did not expect us to either have or realize or learn how to control. And that is where we become them or beyond them. So we possess a physical ability, i.e. a straight spine, that causes the etheric energy to come down through us and make us have a more fuller, less resistant connection to the larger dynamic field. And that is something that the Elohim wish to abort and stop. And so what they do is they blow chemtrails over us, and they they create hats as fads, which will block this stuff. And they do all sorts of stuff, give us drugs, mind control drugs, and all sorts of things to block out that. That's the one thing they want more than anything, is to block out the direct connection with the divine etheric field that surrounds the earth, sun, and the galaxy, and the rest of the universe, because that is where we get our power. And they're very upset about that. And so they've come in to obfuscate our spiritual understanding and to destroy it. And that's what religions are. That's why it's Gabriel, who's one of the archangels, constantly behind all of the religions, whether it's, the solar worship of ancient Egypt, or Christianity, or Judaism, or Islam, or the Vedic teachings, or ancient Greece, those teachings, and Mesoamerica, South America, over and over. We get the same exact interference from higher beings who come in and dictate how we should think. And this was only possible during the Kali Yuga. And now the sun has gone white, and we are beginning to wake up. The Nephilim, they're the sons and daughters of the Elohim, and the Elohim are beginning to freak out because we are coming into our own, and every day we get stronger, they get weaker. Because every day we come up a little bit higher above that galactic plane, and we're receiving more light and ether plasma energy from this gigantic, huge center of the galaxy, which is gigantic and huge. So the ancient alchemical texts tell us that the Elohim were super attracted to earth women, and always trying to have sex with them. And so one day, there was a beautiful earth woman named Isis the prophetess, and she's walking around Egypt in her splendor and glory. And one of the Elohim, Amniel, he comes up to her and he says, I'd like to have sex with you. And she's like, so? He goes, no, I'm serious. You're so beautiful. I have to have sex with you. And she says, well, I just, I don't give sex to myself out to people, just ad hoc. And he's getting really frustrated. And he says, well, I got to have sex with you. I don't know what else I can do. What can I do to help to get sex with you? And she says, well, I want to know the secrets of your science. I see your science and I don't understand it. And what she's talking about is their flying machines and their ability to take gold and turn it into alchemical substances, that kind of thing. And Amniel he's beside himself. So he says, I'll tell you what, I'll go back and I'll get another angel, another Elohim, who does know all of this. And then he can tell you what it is. And then you can have sex with me. She says, okay. So he comes back with another angel, and the angel tells her all about how you have to fix sands, and it's about time, and you got to get everything right before you do whatever it is you're doing. And it's very confusing and obscure and everything, but it makes sense to Isis the prophetess. So she says, okay, and apparently she may or may not have had sex with him. But either way, she then goes and tells her son the secrets, and that's how the secrets of alchemy, not alchemy, alchemy, the science of the Elohim, got out. And that's what alchemy is. That's what the lands of Egypt were not called Alchem, they were called Elchem, the lands of the Elohim. All right. And so alchemy is that. It's the vain attempt almost by us lowly humans to try to understand what the science of the Elohim is all about. And so, I have many hundreds of books going back into Europe and India and the Arab countries, all on alchemy. And I can see that each alchemist has their own peculiar, particular point of view as to what alchemy is. I think they're all right and they're all wrong. And so what they're doing is that the knowledge got so disparate and broken up that it became kind of piecemeal and confusing, and no one really understood what was really going on. And now I've read all these books, and yes, each book has a little bit of the truth in it, a little bit of the whole thing. But what I did was finally got frustrated and said, no, I'm going back to as far back as I can to the original source, which I deemed to be Egypt. And I looked back at Egypt, and through the work of engineer Christopher Dunn, I began to understand that the Great Pyramid was a gigantic plasma generator, that all of Egypt was about plasma physics. They were creating torus created vortex portals to get in and out of time, and they were creating substances which allowed them to live for a long, long time. And they were interacting with the Elohim on a higher level than we are. What I think happened is that at a certain point, the Elohim, the upper levels of the Elohim, Aloni or whatever his name, Alani, he finally said, okay, that's it. You guys have been giving too many secrets away. You want sex with the earth women. You've been giving them all these secrets. You've got to stop. And that's when it kind of pretty much came to an end, except for maybe some of the abductions that Bud Hopkins and Whitley Strieber are talking about, where they seem to be coming back and still messing with us on a minor scale. But the big major interference seems to have disappeared for whatever reason. So as we move away from the galactic plane and move into the Dvarapara Yuga, which is the next Yuga up, and then the Silver Age, and then the Golden Age, and then back down to the Silver Age, back down to the Para Age, then boom, back to the Kali Yuga, then to the Para Age, and then the Silver Age, then the Golden Age, then the Silver Age, then the Para Age, then boom, back to the sun. See how it goes over and over like that through the galactic plane? As we pull out of the galactic plane and these energies are coming in like they are right now, there's not going to be any stopping us. And they better be worried. And I mean it. The Elohim and the people that they have chosen to be their masters of us here on Earth are going to face a mighty retribution. And it's not going to be me or my generation. We're going away. But we're leaving enough messages in a bottle behind us that eventually the enlightenment is going to become so bright, so overwhelming, that we're going to see everything as it really is. And that's actually happening right now. I mean, it's no accident that Musk is opening up X, Twitter, to all this freedom of speech, and that Alex Jones is back, and that people like Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson are moving away from the mainstream dynamic and moving into almost into a more spiritual way of looking at the world. That is not an accident. That is not that is us coming out of the galactic plane and them just getting this huge hit of this energy and realizing what is true and what is not. And that's where we're going. So anyway, that's kind of my rant. I am going to be doing a entire documentary series on alchemy and all of this. Plus, I'm going to be giving it away for free at a class, probably not for a while, but in a while I will be. My dealings with Corey Good and all of his court-driven nonsense appears to be going away. I will be doing updates on that, and I will be doing a free ebook and a free YouTube documentary on that whole episode, which will reveal Wow. Wow. I can't even begin to describe the corruption that it will reveal. So that's pretty much it. That's my rant for the day. Watch JFKX. It's now available international on Vimeo. You can go to jfkx.org and see the links and go to the links and support the filmmakers. I'm back into filmmaking. I'm going to be making at least two, if not three or four more films over the next year or two. And so things are looking really, really good. And I am more optimistic than I've ever been. I really, really am. And I want to thank you for watching. My name is Jay Weidner, and this is Reality Check, and you are the best.